Hello, welcome everybody. I'm Melanie from MJJ Justice Project, and my
Welcome.
partner is Buds. Buds, say hi.
Hi.
Hello.
And we have two special guests today. The first guest is Aileen Medalla, who will be joining us in mere moments, I hope. She is the author of a wonderful book. I call it a love letter to Michael and his children. It's called The King of Pop and I. She was a teacher to Michael's children, so we'll hear from her. And then our second guest, and I'm going to let Buds introduce our second guest.
Um, well, he may be our first guest now. We'll see. Uh, he's a returning guest, Harrison Funk. He's best known in our circles as MJ's personal photographer, but he's done many other things. He has worked for 2 decades in the entertainment and advertising and has directed more than 30 music videos and documentaries. He has requested a more relaxed session this time around, and we're happy to oblige. He has a presentation that he wishes to share, and then he will take questions directly from you guys. So we want to keep it as orderly as possible. And his and our request is that you stick to questions that pertain to Harrison's work and his interaction with Michael, and not about the MJ estate projects or Michael's private life. And so, with that, we like to welcome back Mr. Harrison Funk.
Hi,
Welcome.
everybody. Nice to see you all. Great to be here.
Hey, Harrison.
Um, hey, Mel. Um, hey, Buds.
Hey,
Feels like I just talked to you.
yes.
Um, both of you. Um, where should we start? Would you like to see pictures? I'm not just showing pictures of Michael, but I'm going to be showing an overall view of work that I've done.
Okay.
Um, do all of you want to start with the pictures?
Yeah,
Okay, let
let's
me
start
share
with the
the screen
pictures.
again.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Cool.
Thank you.
Um, okay, so let me know. Can you all see this?
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yes.
see it.
Yeah, I can see it.
Photos from the music world and other forms of life. Very good. All right. Um,
Oh, I know
the
who that
first
is.
part of this is called Finding the Moment. You may recognize Grace Jones.
Yeah.
Grace did a music video back in 1982, I think, called One Man Show. It was directed by her husband, Jean Paul Gaultier. And uh, the as part of the video, there were, I think, 50 Graces, all various dancers in Grace Jones masks.
I remember that video.
Yeah, shot on the pier on 12th Avenue, right by the Bethune Street Pier in Manhattan, Lower Manhattan. And Grace was wearing her own mask. The person next to Grace is her cousin. I can't think of his name. And people have often asked, how can you tell the difference because they're both wearing the same mask? He's the one with the Adam's apple. Found the moment. And this picture was used for. I mean, this is back in the early days of music videos. So it was before the internet really exploded. Well, before the internet, and this picture was used as a by the street teams for snipes. I don't know if any of you know what snipes are, but we use that term back in the day to mean those posters that are not supposed to be put onto construction site um, walls and other places that they weren't supposed to be. So this was all over New York City. Why, Melanie, you may remember this.
Yep.
Um, but it was also, I think they sniped all over LA, all over San Francisco, Chicago. I forget. At one time I knew, and it's been, this is 1981 or 82, 82.
You were a mere baby then. Look at that.
Yeah. This is a long time ago. I mean, some of you weren't even born then.
I was. All right,
Um,
let's go to
so
the.
moving on,
Oh yeah.
Ozzy Osbourne.
Ozzy.
Um, Ozzy got the key to the city from West Palm Beach, Florida, and I was hired to shoot him receiving the key from the mayor. And Sharon saw me off to the side and pulled me over, and she said, "Let's go out on the jetty and just do some portraits of Ozzy," and that's one of them. Um, after the whole formality, and it's one of my favorite portraits of him because most of the time I've shot him live, and he's had some definite substance abuse issues that don't make his live pictures as close up as wonderful. So I happen to like this one a lot. So did he. Ice-T. This is from the cover session of Original Gangster. Sorry, Gangsta.
Yeah.
Pronounce it right. This was shot in my studio in Los Angeles in 1990. I want to say five, six. One thing, by the way, I had a very bad case of COVID. Some of you may know that because I did a GoFundMe to help me get back on my feet. And I want to thank everybody who, I don't know if any of you here donated. I know Melanie did, and I know Buds did. And I want to thank you guys. Anybody else who did, and I'll thank you in advance if anyone else is going to. But
I also I donated, so
you did?
yeah,
Thank
Giorgio.
you, Giorgio.
We're just glad that you're healthy and
Thank
better
you.
and look good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mel. So today, I just want everybody to know, today I had chest X-rays done yesterday, and COVID pneumonia had poked holes in my lungs.
Mm.
And today I got the results of the new chest X-rays, and my lungs have grown back.
Oh, good.
The holes are there's no occlusion, there's no cloudiness in my lungs, and I can breathe.
Oh, that's great news. Oh.
Thank you. Yes.
And you
Thank
can
you,
talk
Giorgio.
more.
It was, I'll tell you, have any of you had COVID?
Nope.
No.
Thank God. You guys just do everything. Be careful. Be careful. Wear your masks, social distance. Don't get too close to anybody, especially somebody you don't know. Be aware. This is a horrible, horrible, horrible disease.
Yeah.
You don't want to get it. I was in the hospital for 10 days. I was not on a respirator, fortunately. I was on very high pressure oxygen, and it didn't feel good. I'm so glad I didn't end up on a respirator, but I'm so glad I'm still here, and thank you all for your concern. I appreciate it.
We're
Melanie,
glad
thank
you're
you
too.
for
We're
reaching
really
out.
glad you're here as well.
Well,
Yeah,
thank
we're all
you.
glad you're here.
Melanie called me when I was in the hospital,
Yes.
and I could barely speak, and she asked if it was okay for her to post. What did you talk to me, or did you talk to Lena first? I don't remember.
Elena, then I talked to you.
Yeah, and asked me if it was okay to post, that I was not well
Mm-hmm.
on the fan sites. And of course I let her, but I said, cautiously. I was like, I don't want people to worry, and I don't want it to become a big deal. And I got so many wonderful responses from the fan community.
She did.
It
Prayers
it is.
your way. Lots
I'm
of
sorry.
lots of prayers went your way.
Oh, so
Yes.
many prayers. I got prayers from people of all possible faiths, and it is what kept me going, and it is um that plus the election results at the same time what got me better real fast. Mel will know what I'm talking about.
I know it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Who's this handsome man that you're showing us? Is that Johnny Depp?
it is Johnny Depp. It is
Wow.
from,
Wow.
yeah, it's a portrait I did offset during the making of Donnie Brasco. The story, there's a little backstory, which is that we had to do this portrait, and Johnny was reluctant to do it because he didn't want to be lit. He didn't want to be shot in a studio setting. He actually liked the idea that I was going to shoot it on set, and there was a big glass picture window next to him, and I saw this light, and I said I couldn't resist. So I brought Johnny over to this table. It was in a, you may remember the movie, you may remember there was a scene at a restaurant. It was in that restaurant. We brought him over to the table. Next to the window was a booth, one of those curved booths. And he sat down and he said, "What do you want me to do?" And I said, "Whatever comes naturally." And this is, he kind of glared at me. He was like, I think he was used to being directed and posed. And I didn't really want that. I wanted him to just look natural.
Yeah.
Ann Curry from NBC. This was when she got back from, I think she got back from Afghanistan like the week before I shot this. Unbelievably, this was shot for Leica cameras because she uses Leicas, and they sponsored some of her trips. Anne is a very accomplished photojournalist herself. And so they asked me if I would do a portrait of her. I didn't want to include the camera in this shot, although I did. It was for a brand new camera that was being released at the time. This is in 2010. And I just took her into the studio and photographed her in the studio. She had a scarf that she brought back from Afghanistan that she was wearing out of respect for Afghani Muslim women, and I asked her to put it on. It was I liked the result. You may recognize this guy. Whatever you think of him, you got to respect Quincy for all the work that he's done.
Yeah, very hard worker.
He is,
Yeah.
and he's
Absolutely. Yeah.
he's an amazing producer.
Yeah.
Mhm.
No doubt.
Yep.
I will kind of break from my normal thing and say, I love Quincy. I've known Quincy for over 40 years. He's
Wow.
probably one of the first people I met in the business. So I was a teenager when I met him. And Q was one of my favorite people in the business. Still, in terms of what he's created, he still is. I'm just sad that he had negative things to say about Michael.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I've
Right.
said that to his face. It's not like I'm saying something I wouldn't say to his face. And I did. And I hope that one day he may never change his opinion, but I hope that one day he does.
Me too.
Yeah.
Exactly. I agree.
Grover Washington Jr. How many of you are jazz fans? Anybody?
I am.
Okay. Grover was one of the greatest sax players of all time.
Yep.
Right up there with Jaco
Mhm.
Pastorius, who, if you're not a jazz fan, you wouldn't know, but Grover definitely was up there in that realm. And he did an album called Wine Light right before I shot this. This was photographed backstage during the video recording of One Night with Blue Note Records. It's a 5-record set back when we had records. I hope some of you remember vinyl because it sounded a whole lot better than CDs. And it was a little cumbersome. I mean, my collection of music, which is on a disc now, took up an entire wall in my house. So I'm talking about 5 shelves, top to bottom, and probably 30 feet wide. So back then, they did this 5-record set called One Night with Blue Note Preserved, and I was fortunate enough to photograph every single artist that had ever, the living artist at that point, who had ever recorded for Blue Note. And I just love this. Grover was so bubbly. He was such a nice guy, and I really wanted to show his smile. And his first reaction when standing in front of a bleached, that's a bleached piece of painter's drop cloth. And I said, Grover, stand there. And he looked at it and he said, what do I do? And I said, Grover, just carry on a conversation. Let's just talk. And he just laughed, and that was the shot. He wasn't expecting it at all, but it's still to this day one of my favorite portraits. I don't have a clue. Some of you may know who this guy is, what his name is.
I have
He's
no
a
idea.
French choreographer.
No idea.
No?
No, we can.
Nope, no idea.
And Allison, I was looking to you to know.
He looks
He's a
really
well-
familiar.
Yeah, he
He
does.
looks like some from Milli Vanilli.
I'm sorry?
Some from Milli Vanilli.
Oh, Millie
Milli Vanilli. No, it's not.
No,
But
Oh, I thought it was Milli Vanilli.
yeah, no, it's not. He's a choreographer. He's French, and I ran into him. This was outside of St. Pancras Station in London, and I'm walking up the side stairs, and I see him, and he saw me. We recognized each other because I'm sure. I mean, we've worked together, but I can't tell you what we've worked on. And I said, wait, let me take a picture of you. I think his face is really cool. I love the light. It's just natural light. Absolutely nothing to enhance the light. And the worst part of it was, I said, give me your address. I gave him my email address. And I've waited to this day. This is in 2012. I've waited to this day, 9 years later, for him to send me his address. He never has. So I never got him the picture. I'd love to. If you're listening out there and you remember that day, I don't think, he'll see it, but it would be nice to send it to him. This is from the recording of the Michael album.
Yeah, we're not too happy with him, Harrison.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
We're not happy with him.
I feel like he has his ups and downs. Like he doesn't know. Like 1 minute, I don't know. He's
Yeah, I
confusing.
agree.
The guy's been shot how many times? I mean, it had to have affected his mind.
Mhm.
He wanted so badly to be on that record, and Michael loved the way he rapped. So it's very sad that he's turned out the way he has.
Yeah.
Oh man, it is
I-
terrible.
I feel like it's media pressure.
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, it's probably. I don't want to get into a whole long discussion about Gayle King and Oprah.
Oh yeah, and Oprah. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
But, to me, that's it's media pressure. It's disgusting, and it's more of the same.
Yeah, because because remember, we MJ fans have to stick together because remember, MJ innocent.
That's right.
Right.
Yep.
Absolutely.
You tell him, Allison.
I'm sorry?
I said, you tell him, Allison. She's absolutely
That's right. Yeah, because remember, facts don't lie, but people do.
Yeah. Right. And I hope that you guys out there are writing letters to these people that are, speaking ill of Michael. I hope that you're, if not letters, emails, and let it be known that the fan community is not going to just sit back while people lie about Michael.
Yeah,
Exactly.
we're not gonna. Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna sit around and see and see all of this happen. I mean, we're gonna stand up for him like we always have.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
still wait for Dan Reed to accept my challenge on primetime television to debate
Yes.
about Michael. I'm waiting.
I call him. Yeah. You should.
Yeah.
I call him Egghead or Desperate Dan.
I'm
Desperate Dan.
sorry.
I call him Egghead or Desperate Dan.
Egghead.
Exactly.
But yeah,
Well-
don't forget, we are winning.
Yes.
Anti-fan are winning. We are winning this battle.
Yes, we
I'm
We sure
Well-
will.
when he
Anti-fan
shuts
forever.
up, we will have won.
Yeah, we'll
Mhm.
win.
You know, the court
yeah.
cases are being decided in Michael's favor. And it is time for Dan Reed to just shut up and fade into the great abyss of former journalists that tried to make it on somebody else's misfortune.
Mhm.
And who is
Hmm.
this handsome
Right.
man I'm looking at?
I'm sorry, Mel.
Who is this handsome man I'm looking at right now?
David Bowie.
David Bowie.
Ooh,
God rest his
yes.
soul.
Yes, definitely, because he was fine.
5 o'clock in the morning during the making of the Labyrinth soundtrack, I said to David, we haven't done any portraits in the last 4 days, and I know that your manager is chomping at the bit waiting to do that. And Coco, who was his manager, was sitting next to me when I said it. And David said, "Oh, come on, let's go. It's 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm ready to go." And he says, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Just sit on the console." And I lit it the way I had always sort of wanted to photograph an artist in the middle of a recording session. And the picture, was widely used. When he passed away, it was the contents page cover for Vanity Fair, and it ran in Rolling Stone the same week. Fortunately, no controversy. But and then who's this guy? Do any of you
So
guys
We
know?
all know who that is. That's Michael.
that's Ronald. What was it? Donald? That his mama was gonna name him.
This actually, funnily enough, that you mentioned, Catherine, this is one of Katie's favorite pictures.
Well, it's a beautiful
Oh.
picture.
Yeah, that's
That's beautiful. He looks great.
that is a cool shirt.
Thank you. You've probably seen it the way it looked originally, and
Mm.
it's I've done some work to it in Photoshop since the original one was out there. But don't do that. Go away. Remind me later. Oh, thank you. Okay. Wait, I don't want to see that either. Okay. So this was shot in my studio in LA in 1990, I want to say 3. But I get quoted too often to make mistakes, so I better not say when it was.
Yeah, no.
The Photoshop work was done just before Michael passed,
Oh,
because he loved it the way I worked on it. He loved that look. It all started with me trying to enhance the blue in his shirt because I love that blue. And he wore that shirt to death.
Yeah, blue was his favorite color.
Oh yeah.
A
He
lot of
loved-
yeah,
people
that's
thought
true.
it-
That's
a
right.
lot of people thought it was red and black, which it is, but blue was his favorite color.
yeah, he loved that. He especially loved the royal blue. It matches the blue in his belt. If you notice if you can see the blue in his buckle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Here we go.
Ooh,
Oh, I love this picture of him.
I do.
I've seen it many times over the years.
Mhm.
Here.
Yep.
And this actually which one of these? I forget. There were 6 in the series, all of which were used, all of which Michael approved immediately. One of them was the back cover of Jermaine's book. You guys read?
The You Are Not Alone.
Yeah,
You are not
yeah.
I honestly, I have not like Jermaine. I mean, when it comes to like, I mean, Jermaine is his brother, but when it comes to like, you know, stories and things that kind of show Michael like in a negative way, I really don't pay attention to that stuff. I want to read his book, but then I'm like, I don't want to read his book and then get mad at Jermaine and then want to, you know.
There was nothing in the book that really was negative. All the
That's
stories.
good to know.
Sorry. Yeah, I mean, I think if you get a chance, read the book.
Yeah, it's a really good book.
I definitely will.
It is.
I haven't read it.
I'm sorry, Georgia.
Sorry, I haven't read it all, but yeah, it's a good book so far.
It's a Georgia.
good book.
Where are you from?
I'm from England. Sorry, I'm from England.
You're from England.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't read it so far. I haven't read all of it, but it is good so far.
Yeah, it is. It is. What part of England are you from?
I am from Bristol, like southwest.
Oh wow, South Coast.
Yeah, southwest, just like Texas, kind of.
Kind of. Oh,
The
yeah.
west, the west.
The West. I'd rather be in Bristol, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I lived in England. I lived in London for 25 years, off and on.
Yeah, London's fantastic.
It's
great.
great.
I know one, the MJ fam in Texas.
Who's that?
Miss Garcia.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Yeah, she's cool.
Oh, Jess. I'm sorry. What am I thinking? Yeah, of course.
Yeah, she's cool.
Yeah. I'll tell her I met you.
It's actually supposed to have been
Awesome.
here, so I don't know where Jessie is.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, I'm surprised she's not, because we talk on on Twitter
Yeah,
pretty frequently.
yeah. She's
Um,
supposed to be here.
Yeah, she's pretty cool.
yeah, she's very cool.
This is another.
There's,
Great picture.
I'm sorry.
I said this is another great picture.
Yeah.
3 legends.
Yeah.
That's
they're
rest
all-
in peace.
Yeah, they're all gone, and sadly, this was an amazing day. I mean, do you guys want to hear the story about Michael meeting Nelson on that day?
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
So, at the same time, both Michael and Nelson wanted to meet each other, and Medalla was coming to the U.S. was coming to do a speaking tour and a fundraising tour for his presidential campaign, which was closing in. And I had been sent to photograph Medalla in Frankfurt when he first got out of prison. And he was doing another speaking engagement there. I was sent by NBC to photograph him for some TV promotion. And he knew that I had a connection to Michael, and his people called me. His people called my people, and we set up a meeting. I called Michael and I said, I know you would like to meet Nelson Mandela. He's coming to the States I think it was in July. And again, I shouldn't give dates out because it just backfires on me. But Michael was ecstatic about the idea. So the representatives from the African National Congress and Mandela's personal representatives contacted Michael through his office and set up a meeting. And we rented the penthouse suite at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. and which is the same suite, by the way, in which was shot a Pretty Woman.
Mm.
And this is in the big living room. If any of you have seen Pretty Woman, we just set up a backdrop that worked better than the location. And Michael invited Elizabeth along to meet Mandela. Michael donated a significant amount of money. I'm not going to say how much, to Madiba's campaign fund. So did Elizabeth, and they chatted. The four of us chatted for quite some time. They chatted for even longer. Michael spoke to Madiba about various political issues, not only in South Africa but in the rest of the world. About the end of apartheid, which was a big cause in Michael's life, ending apartheid, and in Elizabeth's, and Elizabeth spoke with him about various AIDS related projects, because I don't know how many of you know, but she was the a big activist in terms of fighting the onset of AIDS and the epidemic that reached massive proportions in that in the late 70s and early 80s. She started an organization called AMFAR, and so she wanted to speak to Mandela about the horrible epidemic that was killing people in Africa. South Africa was not exempt. As a matter of fact, it had a huge population of stricken patients, and so Mandela took it on board and really ran with it. When he got back and was elected president, one of his main objective was the end of apartheid, and a rebirth of Black Africa. He wanted the people that were running South Africa to move away from their years of oppression, and he succeeded in that through numerous means. And Elizabeth's desire to see money raised and spent on AIDS, HIV and AIDS treatment was realized because of this meeting. Still taking some time. I mean, things are better, but they're not perfect. And I recommend that everybody that has a feeling for the people that are suffering from oppression, from disease, from famine, look at the history of what these three people have done. Michael especially.
Definitely.
This was Michael the humanitarian. And Michael was one of the greatest humanitarians of my generation.
Absolutely.
One of the greatest in history.
Yes.
So
I guarantee if he was still alive today, he would have been one of the first ones to donate amid this pandemic. He probably would have had benefit concerts, everything. He wasn't arrested until he helped the cause.
I can't wait till we finally have some concerts again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be great when all this is over with.
It will. Michael would have been doing some virtual dates. He would have been out there performing on video.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
Okay, so this next image is Michael. It's from an ad that we did for World Book Encyclopedias. Now, most of you guys who are pretty young don't know what an encyclopedia is.
It's a big book.
it's a lot of big books. It's
Yes.
an alphabet full of big books of information and information. Now we have Wikipedia, where you write your own encyclopedia. Now we have all the information that used to be in these books, and they used to cost our parents a lot of money to buy and bring into our houses, or we had to go to the library to read them. All that information now is found online. A
Yeah.
lot of times, World Book or Encyclopedia Britannica or one of those organizations that published encyclopedias were
Mhm.
very cautious about accuracy. And that's one thing that we're lacking today on the internet in some places. Things aren't that accurate. Well, Michael was a big fan of learning by encyclopedia, and they asked him if he would be one of, I forget how many people, 7, 8 people that were endorsing World Book, and on posters, and this was shot for a poster. And I said, Michael, I love your eyes. Cover the rest of your face with the book. Let's just see your eyes. And I always thought his eyes were incredibly telling. Obviously they didn't want to use that picture as the poster. The poster is him standing in front of a stack of World Book encyclopedia books, which you can see kind of the edge of on the table. But this was my favorite picture from this session.
Mm.
And this is Michael at the World Music Awards.
Mhm.
In 2005.
5.
Oh,
I was
yeah.
6.
Awesome. Oh, he looks so happy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks
'Cause-
really healthy and happy there.
Very happy. Yeah.
He was very
Especially
happy.
Yeah.
This is just, I think this is just after Lindsay Lohan gave him his award.
No, that was Beyonce.
Yeah.
Or Beyonce. That's right. Lindsay Lohan was she
Host.
was the host of the show.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, and Beyonce was the one that gave him the award that year in 06.
Right. Giorgio, did you go?
No, I didn't go, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I wish I went.
It was I've never seen Earl's Court so electrified. It was unbelievable. And
Yeah.
the media really weren't fair to Michael.
Yeah, they said that the audience booed at him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Quite the opposite.
they didn't. You can listen to it yourself.
Yeah.
It wasn't anybody booing.
Right.
Yeah,
People-
nobody was booing him. No.
No, they were
Yeah.
screaming, Michael, Michael, and
And of course, they were passing out over him.
of course, Michael. They also pulled a fast one on him. They he wasn't really he didn't really agree to perform. And they told everybody that he was going to perform. So the night before, he was told that they had prepared some tracks, and he chose to do a walk-on to "We Are the World."
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of sang kind of a little bit, but he wasn't. Michael's a perfectionist. Michael wasn't going to walk onto a stage and sing to track, especially sing over himself.
Yeah.
To track. So this is a fan favorite. This was shot during the Bad Tour. From reverse. This was one of my favorite angles to photograph Michael live, to show the audience and his interaction with the audience. That's just a streaming sea of people. Oh, which reminds me, Buds, you posted a picture a few weeks ago, which we were talking about online, from Madison Square Garden. And I don't think I have it. I don't think it's in this slideshow, but
Instagram
it
or
was
Twitter?
stopped.
It was on Instagram or Twitter.
You got it on Instagram or anything?
I forget. It was probably on Instagram,
Then I posted it.
Yeah, that wasn't me.
or you posted
That's
it.
Mel. That's Mel.
Okay,
Instagram.
it's the one from the back on stage during the Victory Tour at Madison Square Garden.
Oh, okay. I'll have to look again.
But it was cropped. It wasn't the whole picture.
Yeah.
No, that's the one. I did that one, but that was Twitter.
Oh, it
not
was Twitter.
Instagram.
Okay.
I'm the one that did that one, and you said the wider shot is bigger, and I said, well, I got this one from I got it from somebody else's account. It wasn't.
Yeah, I
Wasn't
think
the
it
full.
was.
It wasn't the full photo. It was just that little crop piece.
Yeah, it was from somebody's Etsy account, I think.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
something like
And
that.
that the full picture, I don't think it's in here. It might be in here. We'll look. Maybe not. Because now we're on to Axl Rose.
From Guns N' Roses.
Harrison,
Right.
I just have
Oh,
to
cool.
say, Aileen, our guest, the author, is joining us in the chat room right now.
Oh, fine.
Yes,
So we're gonna take a little break and then come back to some more pictures from you, if that's okay.
Okay, not a problem.
Those were some great pictures.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very
Yeah,
great.
thank you, Harrison.
Thank you.
Very welcome.
Now, Aileen should be in the chat room. Let me just check. And we want to thank Harrison for his photos.
Looks like Aileen.
Yeah, there she is. Did you know Aileen Harrison when you were working with Mike?
I think we might have met in 06, but I don't remember if I did. Do you know, Aileen, do you remember if we met were you in London or in England with Michael and the kids in 06?
Oh, here she comes. Welcome, Aileen. Did I lose her again? Keep the faith is right. Thank you, New Jersey.
It's like 9 a.m. in the Philippines, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. All right. I just sent her another message. She was there and then she was gone. Melissa's from the Philippines too. Welcome, Melissa. All right. Well, why don't we open the microphones up until Aileen gets back on? Does anyone have a question for Harrison?
Don't be shy. Feel free.
I'm having a question for you, Mr. Harrison.
Marcos?
Could you tell us how was your last meeting with Michael?
Wow. I spoke to Michael on the phone just before he passed away. Sorry. We were supposed to have a meeting on the 25th at 3:00. I don't discuss that publicly. Again, I'm a little cautious to say a lot of things because of how misquoted I've been. But I hope this won't get out to any of the bad actors. There's quite a few out there, a lot of trolls, like Dan.
Yeah.
So I'm ultra cautious about saying too many personal things. But Michael was, when I spoke with him, he was very open and very I want to say he had a lot of, he sounded like he was concerned or worried. And we didn't talk very long. But you know, there are things, and again, I don't want to get into too much here. Buds and Mel have heard all the details.
Yes.
And we did a Vulcan mind erase with Melanie. I'm kidding. The Buds, you're I like the smirk. I appreciate the fact that you appreciated that one. The I can only say that had things been different on the 25th, a lot of what was happening would have changed. There,
Aileen is trying to get back on, so I'm
Oh.
going to have to check her
Okay.
audio. So there she is. I see. Good morning, Aileen. You have to unmute yourself. On the bottom left, it says mute and unmute. There you-
Hello.
Hello.
Oh my God, finally. Thank you. I'm so sorry about that.
We are so glad that you could join us. Thank you so much.
Yeah, to be here.
Everybody's been waiting. We have fans from all over the globe. Are you still there?
Yes,
Still there.
can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. If I
Okay,
can
good,
ask
good.
everyone except for Aileen to mute themselves, please, I would appreciate it. Okay. All right. Well, let me introduce you. Let's get started. I read this book in 2 days and I was enthralled. I couldn't put it down. So
Oh my God.
I mentioned early that I think this book is a love letter to Michael and his children. So I want to thank you for writing it. But let me introduce you. Aileen Medalla. Am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Yes, yes, you are. Yes.
She's a wife, mother, and a business owner. She's a licensed teacher, and she was the traveling homeschool teacher for the children of Michael Jackson between 2005 and 2008. And she was lucky enough to travel with the family throughout Europe, US, Middle East, and Asia. And Aileen is now living a beautiful, quiet life in the Philippines. And we thank you for joining us for the MJ Justice Project chat. And as I said, we have fans from all over the globe who are really looking forward to hearing from you. So welcome, Aileen.
Oh, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. And yeah, I'm just so delighted to be here and to meet and to finally meet you.
Yes, we've been chatting
Yeah.
on Facebook. So let me start with what inspired you to write the book?
What inspired me? Actually, I've like heard a lot of tabloid news, and it seems that people only know Mr. Jackson from what they hear and from what they read. And as what I've seen, that some of these news are not true. So I thought of coming up with a book. And I want to let the people know who was the real Michael Jackson was. So as a father, as a boss, and a regular person. And also I want to add that I also would like my story or my book to serve as an inspiration. I know inspiration or inspire is a big word, but yeah, I want the readers to get anything they can from my book. And I just want to let them know that no matter how hard the situation we're in, like we're in the midst of the pandemic, and I just want to let them know that we shouldn't lose hope and hold on to our faith in this trying times. And just like in my story or in my book, if I had given up or if I have surrendered right away, I wouldn't have met Mr. Jackson and the children. So yes, I just wanna try. I just wanna let the readers know that we could do it. Like we shouldn't lose hope and yeah, just hold on to the faith.
I think that's
and
lovely.
everything will be all right.
That's
Yes.
lovely. In the book, you talked about you were living, I believe it was in Bahrain, and you were looking
Yes.
for a job and having some difficulty finding one, and you
Right.
answered the ad. Can you tell us about that?
Oh, in Bahrain, yeah, it was pretty hard because at that time, I think also maybe I just got there at the wrong time because when I was there were no vacancies and everything. I submitted my resume or the CV to like almost all of the schools, but there were no vacancies at that time. And I searched for the Gulf Daily News. That's just the newspaper in Bahrain. I always search for like available jobs, and I would submit my resumes to those like the email addresses and everything. I'll try to call them if they have vacancies, but there are none. So yeah, I there was a time when I said that I would settle for any honest job, any as even if it's not a teaching job, I would embrace it, like I would accept it, because at that time it was really so hard if you don't have a job in a foreign place, especially in Middle East. And I know I was lucky that I was under the roof with my sister's family, but then I have to I have to also find a job on my own so I could survive. And at that time, our savings was really um, like I was so scared that like we don't have the savings anymore. So I really need to find a job at that time until I saw this little ad. Like it's a really little ad. You could barely notice it in the Gulf Daily News, and it says there, wanted traveling homeschool teacher. So the word traveling caught my attention because let's face it, who doesn't love to travel? So I immediately submitted my application and then my resume at that time. But yeah, I didn't know at that time it was Mr. Jackson already looking for the teacher for his case. So it was for Prince Paris and Blanket. And yeah, because I was clueless at the time because I didn't know, like there was no name or everything who the employer was or who was looking for a teacher. So at that time I was so desperate to find a job. So I submitted my application resume and then that's it. But I didn't get a I didn't get a call back until like few weeks after that. Yes. So yeah, I and then one day I just received a call from this lady. It says she said that her name was Mary Montgomery, and then she invited me for an interview.
Mm.
Yes.
And how did you find out that your employer, because you got the job, but how did
Yes.
you find out your employer would be Michael Jackson?
Oh, okay. So, okay, let me just continue my story.
Yeah,
Okay. So,
do.
Miss, yes, Miss Montgomery, and then I later found out that she was Miss Grace Waramba. You know Miss Grace, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes, yes. And yeah, at that the interview was not your typical interview because it was at Ritz Carlton, Bahrain, and we were in a villa and everything. So at that time, I didn't know um, who was really looking for a teacher. So we went there, and then the first part of the interview was pretty intense because she was so serious, and she asked me about my qualifications. She asked me about my work experience, like other classroom management situations. So it was pretty intense and very serious. So it was like maybe like almost an hour discussing about the first part. And then there came the second part, which is less serious. And she started to ask me about my interests, my hobbies, and what I normally do during weekends or my free time. So yeah, so I got pretty comfortable in the second part. And then after that, she told me that I got the job, and she said that, yeah, your employer, by the way, is Mr. Michael Jackson. And at that later on, I found out that yes, I found out that there were actually 100+ applicants for that job, and I was just so blessed that I was chosen for that job. And I also found out later that the interview was just like for like confirmation or formality,
Mhm.
and they already checked my resume and application, and I think they found something in me that that they finally decided to hire me for the job. So I was like, at the time when she told me that you're gonna be I mean, you'll be teaching, or your employer will be Mr. Michael Jackson, I was like, at the back of my mind, like, is this a prank, or is she serious or what? Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Of all people, Michael Jackson. And prior to that, there was already like hearsays or rumors that Michael Jackson was in Bahrain. And I was like, what, Michael Jackson? And I said, I remember myself praying that, Lord, please, could you just please let me see him just like once or even 10 seconds? And yeah, prayers do, like, God hear prayers. God really hears your prayer, and he gave me more than what I've asked for. And can you imagine I know, can you imagine working for the one and only Michael Jackson?
It's a
And
once
God is
in a
good.
lifetime opportunity to work for Michael Jackson, and he trusted you with his children. More to the point in the educate, because I we all know how important education was for Michael.
Yeah.
Talk about setting up the classroom for the children and meeting the children, and just the details around that.
Yeah, sure. Our classrooms are really like different because we traveled a lot. So, but in Bahrain, we started in Bahrain. We have this pavilion. It is attached to the main house, but the entrance is separate. So, like, the main house is attached, but the entrance or the main door is separate. So our classroom is kind of like private, and there are no other people allowed to get inside, only us. So we held our classes there. We start at 8 o'clock until 3 in the afternoon. And yeah, it's just like a normal, regular classroom. So we have chairs, we have like tables, and there's a CCTV at the top so that Mr. Jackson could oversee our class. Okay, so when we began traveling, it's kind of different because we held our classes in hotel rooms, castles, a living area, I mean, living room. And yeah, anywhere you could imagine, because Mr. Jackson didn't like us to stop school because he really stressed that school is very important, and he knew the importance of the education that the children are getting. So yes, it's kind of fun. It's exciting. It's kind of fun. It's challenging at the same time because yeah, we traveled a lot, so it's different from one place to another place.
Can you
Yes.
describe the first time you met Michael Jackson? Can you talk about that?
The first time I met him was um yeah, we were in the house in Bahrain, and he was actually, I was there already, and I was waiting for him. I mean, him and the children. I was seated at the, like, a living room, like a guest area, and yeah, I was just there praying because I started to panic. I was like, what if he doesn't like me, or what if he changes his mind? And yeah, I was just there. I was waiting for them, and like after like a few minutes, he came with the children, and he was holding hands with the children, and he was so pleasant, and he was like, there's something in his presence that you couldn't really explain. And yeah, I was so starstruck at the time, but I really tried my best not to not to show it. So he introduced himself, and he said, "Hi, I am Michael Jackson, and these are my children, Prince Paris and Blanket." And yeah, and then he extended his hand and shook mine and said, "Yeah, good morning, Mr. Jackson. I'm Aileen." And then yeah, we started the conversation already. So I presented my application, my resume, and he asked me like, "What do you have for my children? Like, what do you have for school?" So I presented to him the school schedule, the school policies, the school regulation, and at that time he was smiling and he was nodding, and at that time I felt that, oh, I think he's happy with what I'm
Presenting.
with
Yeah.
what I'm presenting to him. Yeah, he was like nodding, and yeah, and then he said I proposed to him the school subjects and everything, and he just emphasized that he wanted to add the values, the good morals, values, and values education, because he said that it's really very important. And he, at that time, I was so impressed by him because he really made it a point, or he really showed to me that it's really values is really important in the education of the children. So that really shows how he was as a person
Yes.
and how
Yes.
he was as a father as well. Yes.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
understand. What did the kids call you? And I understand Blanket had a special name.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes they call me Miss Aileen. Sometimes they call me Aileen. So I don't really have any problems with that. And Blanket had a hard time pronouncing my name, so he can't pronounce Eileen. So he was joking like, "Can I call you Miss Alien instead?" I was like, I said Blanket is Eileen, and he would laugh so hard, and he was the cutest. So I know he was so cute, and yeah, he would do that. Like he calls me Miss Eileen, sometimes Miss Alien, but I really don't mind. He's just a little kid at the time, so he was really cute.
Um, Talk about traveling with the family and when you went on your first trip with them and how that experience was.
Traveling was with them was really very interesting. The first travel I had, actually, they left Bahrain first. They went to Europe,
Mhm.
and I just followed them um, in France. So I went with them. I mean, I followed them in France. They were already waiting for me, and yeah, it was really exciting. And you know what? What's the most interesting part? If we traveled before, I for myself, I didn't know the schedule when we will be traveling or where we are going next. So it's yeah, it's exciting and it's fun, but at times it gets crazy too. Like the schedule gets crazy too. But yeah, I enjoyed it a lot, and and yeah, there were times that Mr. Jackson would disguise himself just not to attract attention. But when you're with him, it's really hard. People would really notice. So most of the time, we will be running, we'll be walking fast, and yeah, it's kind of different when you are with the Michael Jackson.
I understand that Michael was very generous and he gave you many gifts and notes thanking you. Can you talk about some of those gifts and the notes and what he said to you?
Oh yes, Mr. Jackson was really very thoughtful, and as a boss, he was the best because he was very appreciative of you, like for of me, of course, and he would tell us like other employees, or he would tell me that he appreciated us. So his way of telling you would be through notes, through gifts,
Mhm.
and sometimes phone calls. And he would tell you really, he would tell you that he appreciate you, and he would thank you for a job well done. And yeah, he was just very thoughtful, and he's the sweetest boss on the planet.
I can
Yes.
imagine.
But I always say this, it's not really the material things. It's not about the gifts, but it is the gesture and the thoughtfulness that came with the gifts that really is with me until now. So it's what made him more special as a as a boss, as a person.
You talk about in the book there was a time I think you both were on an airplane and he walked towards you and handed you something. Can you talk about that?
Oh yes, oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes, um we were in the airplane, and I was already, because I mentioned in my book that no matter how often we fly, I really don't get it. Like I still get nervous at time when flying. And at that time I was already in my space, in my own space, and I was watching a movie and everything. And Mr. Jackson suddenly came to me, and he handed me this, like, a lot of perfumes, these gifts, and he just said, Miss Aileen, these are for you, and thank you for teaching my children. You're doing a great job. So I was like, what? Like, yeah, that's what I'm telling you. It's not the gifts, but the gesture, the gesture of him, like being the king of pop. He stood up and gave me those gifts. He could have just asked me. He could just said, Eileen, come over here, and I have something to give you. But no, he did. He stood up, and he went to my place and gave it to me. So those are just the little gestures,
Mhm.
the little things that you would really appreciate him, and you would get to know his real character. And these characters you wouldn't see, or you wouldn't find out if you don't work closely for him. So yeah, sometimes it really, it really gets to me. Like it made me respect him more and appreciate him more.
Sure.
Yes.
One of the things you talk about in the book that Michael liked hot sauce.
Oh yes.
Kids put on hot sauce on everything. Can you talk about that?
Yes, yes. Also with Prince. Prince is also very fond of popcorn with Tabasco, actually. So in school, we would have this film showing like once a week, because like 5 days in a week we do 4 days academic, like serious stuff like mathematics, science, social studies, and everything. And then the fifth day we do the light subjects, like we do a film showing, we have arts and crafts, we have a little bit of everything, like PE and everything.
Mhm.
So whenever we would watch a movie or we have a film showing, Prince would always have this popcorn and Tabasco with him. And I was like, Prince, I don't get you. Why? Could you explain it to me? I don't get it. Why why popcorn and Tabasco? And he would always say, hey, you try it. It's good. You should try it. It's good. I said, nah, no, thank you. Yeah, and same with Mr. Jackson too. Mr. Jackson too. Yeah, I think Prince got it from him actually. So
I think
yeah,
he might have. Yes.
yeah. So everybody knows that.
Um, Talk about the time that the family went to Ireland and you went with them. And that was a really special time for all of you.
Yes. The time we spent in Ireland was very special. For me, it was really priceless, because at that time they were able to bond as a family. Like at that time, it was just us, no bodyguards. At the time we arrived in Ireland, there were no bodyguards actually. It was just us. So the helpers in the house, the family, Miss Grace and I. So it was really special. And at the time, they were able to talk. I mean, they were able to do some stuff. They were able to bond. They were able to play outside without the fear of some paparazzi taking a photo and everything. So yeah, that was really special. And they get to do the things that they normally can't do
Yeah.
outside Ireland. So it was really pretty special, priceless times in Ireland.
And you also mentioned that the people in the town were very protective over them. And then if press or media or paparazzi showed up, what would they say to them?
Oh yeah, yeah. That was already at Kraus Lodge.
Yeah.
Yes, the people were so protective of him that when there were press or media, they would always give the wrong direction. Like, oh, we heard that Mr. Jackson, like Michael Jackson is here. Could you tell us where he is now? And then they would give another direction so that they wouldn't find out where he's staying. Yeah, and then others would threaten them to put manure in the car. And yeah, people really protective of him. And he didn't get that sincerity, or he didn't get that treatment while he was out in Ireland. So yeah, Ireland is really so special
Yeah,
for all of us.
we've all heard that that was a special time for all of you, and Michael was truly happy living
Mhm. Yes.
there.
Yes, as far as what I've observed and as what I saw at that time, he was genuinely happy. Like the place, the tranquility, the calmness of the place and everything. And yes, he was really happy at that time with the children.
One of the things you talk about, and you end the book with these letters to the children. Um, I call them love letters, and I had mentioned that before. Why was that important for you to add that in the book?
I thought of the open letter as like the ending of the book, because I wanted to, if the children get to read the book, I hope they do. um, I want them to reminisce the wonderful memories they have with their father, because I do believe that those times were also considered as the last days of his life.
Mhm.
It Yes, those were like, I think, the last like bonding moments, that they were really we were really close and really bonded so hard. So I wanted to remind them. I wanted them to go back and to let them remember those wonderful memories when they were still young. And yeah, I really thought of that, and I really hope that one day they would be able to read those
Um,
letters.
what is it that you want? Just to sum up this, what do you want the reader to come away with in your book? What's the message that you want them to come away with?
The book is to actually tell the readers, or let the readers know who Mr. Jackson was, because there has been a lot of things going on, and has a lot of things written about him, and it seems that some, or maybe all of, not really all of it, but most of it are not true. And I want them to always go back to my book if they want to know who he really was. And I want them to know that some of the things that they read or heard is the exact opposite of who Mr. Jackson was. So I want them to know that he was a decent man. He was the best father to Prince Person Blanket. He was the best boss ever. And he is a very he's a person, a regular person, just like you and me, with a golden heart. So I want the people to know that.
That's lovely. That's lovely.
Yes.
Well, Miss Aileen, or Miss Alien, as Blanket used.
Yes.
I want to thank you first of all for writing this book. It's a beautiful book. I suggest that everyone get a copy of the book. I got mine from Amazon, so you can order the book. But it really lets people know, because there's so much about what people say about Michael Jackson, but the truth is in this book. So I encourage everyone to read the book. And I want to thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Mel. Thank you so much.
Absolutely,
Thank you for
absolutely,
having me.
absolutely. Thank you all. And I want
Thank
to
you.
thank everybody for joining us today on the Zoom chat. We do these, they're all saying thank you to you, Aileen. Harrison, are you still there?
I'm here.
Did you have more pictures you wanted to show, or we've got a few more minutes?
I no, but it's I'm happy to answer any questions. Hi, Leslie. Um, my friend Leslie Mercer um, had not been able to get in before. Just joined us a little while
Well,
ago.
we have about 5 more minutes, so if anyone has a
Oh.
question for Harrison,
Yeah. I have a question. Sorry.
Yeah, go on.
Um, So Michael was never afraid to play to show his playful side. What was the most funny? Indeed. So, what was the most fun you ever had at a photo shoot, or the funniest one ever?
I will never. I think one of my favorite recollections of Michael's playful side was during the Victory Tour, when we had a bucket of shrimp.
Good shrimp.
Backstage. It was a huge bucket. I mean, it wasn't just like a little bit of shrimp. It was, hundreds of shrimp for shrimp cocktail, right? And there was cocktail sauce on the side, but he didn't care about the cocktail sauce. So he starts picking up pieces of shrimp and throwing it at everybody. And so he started throwing it at me, hitting my camera, and I dumped the bucket on Michael. Like they do in the sports challenge, the what do they call the challenge? The
Gatorade.
The Gatorade challenge. Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah.
And I just dumped the shrimp, and it was on Michael, on his stage clothes.
Oh wow.
Right before he went out, and he smelled like shrimp.
It's basically smelled like Forrest Gump on the ship.
Well, he didn't just let it go at that, because the next night there were shrimp in my camera bag.
Well, he got you back.
Michael had just picked up a bunch of shrimp, opened my bag, and because I'd leave my bag in the corner of the dressing room, and just carry the cameras, and he just picked up a bunch of shrimp and put them inside my camera bag, and I opened my bag on stage right at the beginning of the show, and I discovered the shrimp. I didn't notice them before that. And so during the show, I was throwing shrimp off the stage at the audience, and Michael tried to grab some shrimp out of my hand so he could throw them too. And I said, this is mine. And I think I actually ate some of the shrimp that were in my camera bag too.
Wow.
In front of him. That was one of the more playful moments. One of my other favorites was we were in Barcelona, and Michael was in disguise and went to a bookstore. And I walked up the road, not thinking that Michael had gone to this bookstore, because it looked like a really cool bookshop, and Michael loves really cool bookstores. One of his favorite things in the world is to go searching for all sorts of books, and especially, unusual books. And I'm standing next to him in the bookstore, and he's in disguise, and it didn't register that he was standing there right next to me. I turn around and I see Chucky, who was his bodyguard at the time, very tall, very, very tall guy that always wore a top hat. And there's Chucky, and then behind Chucky, off to the side, is Bill Bray, who was his chief of staff and who was his head of security for years. And I'm thinking, oh, that must be Michael. And I said, I just got next to him, and I said, hey, Michael. I said, shh. I said, shh, 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 shh. If they see you, they're going to know I'm here. And I said, why? You think that I know the paparazzi? And he said, well, they think you're one of them, which was which was so far from the truth. And I said, but they're going to see Chucky. He sticks out like a sore thumb. And Michael starts to laugh, and he says, Chucky, maybe you should go home. I don't really know if I need security right now. Meanwhile, outside of this bookshop are probably 40 paparazzi and hundreds of fans who had just followed him they'd been standing in front of the hotel. The van goes up to the bookshop, drops him off with his entourage, and they followed him. And so Michael says, what do you think? Should we just walk back to the hotel? and I think he seriously contemplated it for a while because Michael wasn't. He was aware of the craziness of some fans, and he didn't really. He never cared for the paparazzi, but he knew they were a necessary evil. But I don't think he was afraid of people. I think he was just he didn't want to be crowded. I think he didn't want to be jostled and grabbed at. Um, and but he couldn't think of any easy way to get out of it. So he concocted this thing to get back to the van, and before he left, he sent Chucky to. There were two vans. There was one just for security. And he sent Chucky to the van and as a decoy. And Chucky gets in the van pulls off. They open the door and made it seem like he was getting the van because you couldn't see on either side. And the van pulls off really fast. And the fans are and the paparazzi just standing there scratching their chins going, did Michael go in that van or is he still here? That was, those were the public pranks. The private ones were, Michael used to love, besides food fights and
Pillow fight.
Michael used to love hiding things from us. And one night he took a lens off my camera. Actually, it wasn't even at a show. One day at the ranch, he took the lens off my camera that I was shooting doing portraits with, and he hid it in the house, and he told me I had to go find it. And it was in the living room somewhere. And I guess, Eileen, you never got up to Neverland, did you? He had already left, like 2 years, I guess, at that point. But you know how Michael collected things. He liked unusual things to collect. So he put the lens sticking up in an old gilded gold box, and made me hunt for it. That was kind of one of his common practical jokes was to hide things.
We love to hear these stories about Michael and the fact that he had a sense of humor and he did have joy in his life. So that's
he had tremendous joy. His kids were the greatest joy ever.
Yes.
Without a doubt, once he had kids, I think he felt a sense of completion.
Yes.
Because all the music, all the fame didn't mean that much to him. He could write songs till the cows come home. He could, meaning for all of you not non-English speakers, but for all of you that don't know our crazy idioms, till the cows come home means just until the end of time. It's just an expression. But he could write. He never, and songs came to him easily. Michael, when I first met Michael, the way he played piano.
Soon, though, Harrison. So tell
I'm
us.
sorry?
We're gonna have to wrap up soon. So tell us.
Okay. One last bit. The way he played piano was one finger by one finger by one finger, and he'd pick out a tune. And I, even in his later days, he would play like little kids play chopsticks, da, 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 da. And he would pick out a tune like that, even though he had become more accomplished. But that was the easiest way for him to hear what he was writing, I believe. There's a very, the real side to Michael. I appreciate, Aileen, Alien, you did a good job. I haven't read your book yet. I will. I'm going to go out and get it tomorrow.
Oh, thank you.
Get it from Amazon. But I don't read a lot of the books about Michael. Usually only
Same here.
Yeah, I don't really want to know from people that didn't really know him.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about. Like, it's so hard to read books from people who haven't even met him. So that is just my point of view. So I haven't really read a lot as well. So maybe if there's one book that I would love to read, it would be from Mrs. Jackson. Yeah,
You know,
that's one book that I'd love to
I don't
read.
know if you know, Katie wrote a book.
Yeah.
She had a ghostwriter, I think, but back years ago
That's what I met her when she wrote the book. She
about
wrote
my.
the book,
It's
yeah.
called My Family, I
Yes.
think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was written in the 80s, in the early 90s, maybe. I know. I'm only guessing because I know the picture that was on the cover was from backstage at the during the Bad Tour
That's
of
right.
everybody in the family. But she wrote a book,
Yeah.
and it. Have you read Moonwalker?
No, I haven't. I don't know, but also these new books right now, like I couldn't get myself to read them. I'm not sure. I'm just pretty emotional. I don't know. I don't know.
You know what?
But I haven't.
Get my email
Mhm.
from Melanie.
I'll
Okay.
send it to you. Yes, Aileen.
Send her my email,
Okay.
and I'll send you a list of recommended.
Sure.
It's a very
I'd love that.
list.
Yeah,
Yes.
Moonwalker's a great book.
Obvious that we're going to have to continue this conversation and have you all back. There's so much to talk about, but we're gonna have to wrap up now. But I want to thank everyone, and I want to thank Aileen, and I want to thank Harrison for joining us today, and I want to thank all of you who are in the chat room. And we
Thank
do
you.
these interviews every other month. So
By the way, I'm reachable if anybody wants to reach out to me. I'm also reachable on
Twitter,
Instagram,
yes, Instagram.
and, and it's photo _icon. So feel free. I'll answer. Might take me a little while, but I'll answer any messages
Oh,
from
thank you.
Wonderful.
any of the fans.
Well, thank you, Harrison. Thank you, Eileen.
Thank
Appreciate it.
you, everyone.
My pleasure. Thank you so
Yeah,
much.
thank you for coming.
There we go. Thank you all.
Thank you
Thank
all.
you. Thank you so much, hosting. Thank
See
you.
you the month after next.
Thanks, Melanie.
Bye-bye. Harrison, I'll
Bye.
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 Thanks. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Guys.
Bye.
Bye.